A room without books is like a body without a soul. If you have a garden and a library, you have everything you need. To be ignorant of what occurred before you were born is to remain always a child, for what is the worth of human life, unless it is woven into the life of our ancestors by the records of history? In times of war, the law falls silent. Read at every weight, read at all hours, read within leisure, read in times of labor, read as one goes in, read as one goes out. The task of the educated mind is simply put, read to lead. If we are not ashamed to think it, we should not be ashamed to say it. Not for ourselves alone are we born. Friendship improves happiness and abates misery by doubling our joys and dividing our grief. Gratitude is not only the greatest of virtues, but the parent of all others. For there is but one essential justice which cements society, and one law which establishes this justice. This law is right reason, which is the true rule of all commandments and prohibitions. Whoever neglects this law, whether written or unwritten, is necessarily unjust and wicked. Not to know what has been transacted in former times is to be always a child, if no use is made of thelibers of past ages. The world must remain always in the infancy of knowledge. The authority of those who teach is often an obstacle to those who want to learn. The life given us by nature is short, but the memory of a well-spent life is eternal. For books are more than books, they are the life, the very heart and core of ages past, the reason why men worked and die, the essence and quintessence of their lives. While there's life, there's hope. The life of the dead is set in the memory of the living. Politicians are not born, they are excreted. The face is a picture of, the mind with the eyes as its interpreter. The shifts of fortune test the reliability of friends. To study philosophy is nothing but to prepare one's self to die. The life of the dead is placed on the memories of the living. The love you gave in life keeps people alive beyond their time. Anyone who is given love will always live on in another's heart. I criticize by creation, not by finding fault. It is not by muscle, speed, or physical dexterity that great things are achieved, but by reflection, force of character, and judgment. What is morally wrong can never be advantageous, even when it enables you to make some gain that you believe to be to your advantage. The mere act of believing that some wrongful course of action constitutes an advantage is pernicious. We must not say every mistake is a foolish one. Life is nothing without friendship. It is foolish to tear one's hair in grief, as though sorrow would be made less by boldness. It is a great thing to know your vices. I am not ashamed to confess I am ignorant of what I do not know. A happy life consists in tranquility of mind. Let food be thy medicine, and medicine be thy food. There are in fact two things, science and opinion. The former begets knowledge, the latter ignorance. Wherever the art of medicine is loved, there is also a love of humanity. Walking is man's best medicine. As to diseases, make a habit of two things, to help, or at least to do no harm. Declare the past, diagnose the present, foretell the future. Life is short, the art long, opportunity fleeting, experiment, dangerous, judgment difficult. People think that epilepsy is divine simply because they don't have any idea what causes epilepsy. But I believe that someday we will understand what causes epilepsy, and at that moment, we will cease to believe that it's divine, and so it is with everything in the universe. The life so short, the craft so long to learn. It is far more important to know what person the disease has than what disease the person has. If you are in a bad mood, go for a walk. If you are still in a bad mood, go for another walk. The natural healing force within each of us is the greatest force in getting well. Before you heal someone, ask him if he's willing to give up the things that make him sick. That which is used develops. That which is not used wastes away. A wise man should consider that health is the greatest of human blessings and learn how by his own thought to derive benefit from his illnesses. Healing is a matter of time, but it is sometimes also a matter of opportunity. Extreme remedies are very appropriate for extreme diseases. Natural forces within us are the true healers of disease. The soul is the same in all living creatures, although the body of each is different. The art is long, life is short, opportunity fleeting, experiment dangerous, judgment difficult. If we could give every individual the right amount of nourishment and exercise, not too little and not too much, we would have found the safest way to health. There are, in effect, two things: to know and to believe one knows. To know is science, to believe one knows is ignorance. Ars longa vita brevis. The physician must be able to tell the antecedents, know the present, and foretell the future, must mediate these things, and have two special objects in view with regard to disease, namely, to do good or to do no harm. All parts of the body which have a function, if used in moderation and exercised in labors in which each is accustomed, become thereby healthy, well-developed, and age more slowly. But if unused, they become liable to disease, defective in growth, and age quickly. It's more important to know what sort of person has a disease than to know what sort of disease a person has. All disease begins in the gut. Cure sometimes, treat often, and comfort always. Ars longa vita brevis. When sleep puts an end to delirium, it is a good symptom. Life is short, the art long. Eunuchs do not take the gout, nor become bald. Disease is not an entity, but a fluctuating condition of the patient's body, a battle between the substance of diseased and the natural self-healing tendency of the body. It is more important to know what sort of person has a disease than to know what sort of disease a person has. If you are in a bad mood, go for a walk. If you are still in a bad mood, go for another walk. For if a man by magical arts and sacrifices will bring down the moon and darken the sun and induce storms or fine weather, I should not believe that there was anything divine but human in these things, provided the power of Thedavine were overpowered by human knowledge and subjected to it. Let food be your medicine. Both sleep and insomnolency, when immoderate, are bad. Persons who have a painful affection in any part of the body and are in a great measure sensible of the pain are disordered in intellect. The chief virtue that language can have is clearness, and nothing detracts from its stomach as the use of unfamiliar words. In whatever disease sleep is laborious, it is a deadly symptom, but if sleep does good, it is not deadly. Persons in whom a crisis takes place pass the night preceding the paroxysm uncomfortably, but the succeeding night generally more comfortably. What remains in diseases after the crisis is apt to produce relapses. What medicines do not heal, the lance will. What the lance does not heal, fire will. When in a state of hunger, one ought not to undertake labor. All the most acute, most powerful, and most deadly diseases, and those which are most difficult to be understood by the inexperienced, fall upon the brain. In acute diseases it is not quite safe to prognosticate either death or recovery. Life is short, art is long, primum non nocere. But if they called everything divine, which they do not understand, why there would be no end of divine things. Wherever the art of medicine is loved, there is also a love of humanity. Let food be thy medicine, and medicine be thy food. We are but dust and shadow. Again, be bold and venture to be wise. If any man cannot feel the power of God when he looks upon the stars, then I doubt whether he is capable of any feeling at all. Rule your mind or it will rule you. They change their sky, not their soul, who rush across the sea. Live as brave men, and if fortune is adverse, front its blows with brave hearts. He who is greedy is always in want. He who has begun is half done. Dare to know. Adversity has the effect of eliciting talents which, in prosperous circumstances, would have lain dormant. Anger is a brief madness. Wisdom is not wisdom when it is derived from books alone. A picture is a poem without words. In love there are two evils, war and peace. He who postpones the hour of living rightly is like the rustic who waits for the river to run out before he crosses. Whatever advice you give, be brief. Once a word has been allowed to escape, it cannot be recalled. He will always be a slave who does not know how to live upon a little. He who feared that he would not succeed sat still. Without love and laughter there is no joy. Live amid love and laughter. Pluck the day, for it is ripe, trusting as little as possible in tomorrow. Anger is a brief madness. Govern your mind temper, for unless it obeys its commands. Why do you laugh? Change only the name, and this story is about you. Cease to ask what the morrow will bring forth, and set down as gain each day that fortune grants. Mingle a little folly with your wisdom, a little nonsense now, and then is pleasant. Now is the time to drink. Even as we speak, time speeds swiftly away. He who has begun has half done. Dare to be wise, begin. Capture your reader, let him not depart from dull beginnings that refuse to start. Leave off asking what tomorrow will bring, and whatever day's fortune will give, count them as profit. Virtue, dear friend, needs no defense. The surest guard is innocence. None knew, till guilt created fear, what darts or poisoned arrows were. Pale death with impartial tread beats at the poor man's cottage door and at the palaces of kings. What we read with pleasure, we read again with pleasure. Dulcet decorum estate pro patria more. Faults are soon copied. Drive nature out with a pitchfork. She'll come right back, victorious over your ignorant, confident scorn. Think to yourself that every day is your last. The hour to which you do not look forward will come as a welcome surprise. You may drive out nature with a pitchfork, yet she still will hurry back. Struggling to be brief, I become obscure. Remember when life's path is steep to keep your mind even. Non omnis moriar. It is reason and wisdom which take away cares, not places affording wide views over the sea. How slight and insignificant is the thing which casts down or restores a mind greedy for praise. Fortune makes a fool of those she favors too much. I shall not wholly die, and a great part of me will escape the grave